Hi, I'm Mo Burry, and thank you for stopping by to have a look at this video put on for you by the Sutton Cancer Care Support Centre. The aim of today is that we're going to talk about feelings. And I'm very fortunate in my life. I have explored and experienced some amazing feelings of joy and happiness, and I've also explored some fairly unpleasant feelings of utter misery and lots of stuff in between. And what I've learned is that a feeling is just a feeling. It won't stay with you all day if you don't stay with that way of thinking. And it can change in a heartbeat. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about, because some of the feelings that you might be experiencing at the moment aren't particularly good ones. So let's explore feelings for a second. Let's just have a look at this list. Here's a list of different feelings, and some of them are good, some of them are not so good. You might notice that there's some on there that you really like and would prefer to have. There are some on there that you actually don't like and would prefer to avoid. And you might even want to do a little screen print and actually look at these later on. One of my favourites, playful. I love to feel playful. I love to feel curious because I'm always then learning something new. And I particularly enjoy feeling creative. I particularly personally prefer to avoid things like angry, worried and embarrassed. But what is important to recognise is that they're all just feelings. It's the system working perfectly, whether they're good or whether they're bad. They're feelings, they're experiences in the moment that you've got in your body, usually somewhere between the shoulder and the hip bone. It's not very often we feel scared in our toes, but maybe some people do. But we're experiencing a feeling, and in that moment, it's powerful and it can affect your behaviour. It can affect what you decide to do or not to do. In fact, I always think about a time I went to see the London Eye. I went with a friend and we stood and looked at the London Eye, that big Ferris wheel. I looked at it and went, wow, awesome, really high, tiny glass bubble. It's going to be an amazing view. And I felt excited and motivated and wanted to get on it. My friend stood alongside of me, looked at it and went, oh, that's going to be scary. And she doesn't like heights. And so she wanted to run in the opposite direction and go and wait in the coffee shop. The interesting thing is that the London Eye didn't do anything. It just stood there. And it wasn't the London Eye that created our experience. It was how we were thinking about it. But I'm going to explore that in a little bit more depth as we go through. So let's have a think about where feelings come from. As we go through life, we want to get certain results. We want to get outcomes. We want to get effects. We want to get certain things that are basically how we feel, what's going on for us. And we're aiming to get certain results. Where does that come from? Well, that will always come from the actions that we take. It's fairly straightforward. If you do something, you get a result. If you don't do it, that result doesn't happen. But what I found really interesting as I've learned about this sort of stuff is there's a line there. I call it the should line, which is I know I should do a thing, but maybe just don't feel like it. So maybe I know I should go to the gym. I know I should go and probably choose better food or healthy things like that, but I don't, and that's because usually there's a feeling that's driving that. So let's explore where that comes from. What's going on beyond and below that should line? Feelings are the strongest drivers of our lives. When we feel something is exciting and interesting, we're drawn towards it. When we feel that something is scary and potentially embarrassing, we tend to avoid it. And yet those things are just the things, they're just what they are. It is what it is. But it's how we think about it that gives us the feeling. And that's a really important part of what I've learned throughout all of this, is that how you think moment to moment is where your experience comes from. That is where your feeling is created from. In fact, that's how it works neurologically. You have a thought, that sends a message to your brain to give you a new set of chemicals and a new set of hormones. That creates a feeling in your body, and then you respond to that feeling to do or not do something. I've also learnt that when our feeling is coming from a place of fear and loneliness and sadness, those are different feelings to when we're coming from a place of connection. So at the base of all of this is how well we feel understood as people, how cared for we feel, whether we feel trusted and trusting, and whether we're feeling a sense of compassion for ourselves and for our situation, and also whether we're feeling a sense of love. Love's a word that's often bandied about and used in really different ways. And I'm talking here about self-love and actually being okay with who you are, no matter what's going on for you, and also loving your environment and the people around you. Because when we come from a place of love, it changes our thinking. Our thinking will be different. We will have better quality thinking because we feel better. And that will create different feelings in our body, which will drive us to do different things. And obviously, as we move up, it will actually give us different outcomes. So why it's important to understand that is you're part of an organisation here with the Sutton Cancer Care Support Centre that can give you that feeling of connection. There are people there who want to look after you and help you and support you through what you're going through. And when that's happening, you know that you're not alone and you are able to access that feeling of love and support. So I want to explore a little bit more. Let's just look at one feeling, one that we're all quite familiar with, which is that feeling of discomfort. I'll call it fear. We can call it anything you like, but fear is usually one that we understand. And it comes from our comfort zone. So if we feel comfortable about something, so we feel at ease, we feel relaxed, we feel calm, then we're willing to explore. But when we feel discomfort, when we feel nervous, frustrated, anxious, scared, we tend not to venture out and try new things and explore new possibilities. But comfort zones are really interesting because as you stretch your comfort zone, something really interesting happens. The first thing is we all have one. It gets bigger as we experience life and things change. And what I learned is that when you get outside your comfort zone, it's almost like your brain goes, oh yeah, actually that's okay, that I can live with that. That's not too bad. Nothing terrible happened. But I think I'll go back to, the comfy feeling, a bit like a pair of old slippers. And then the next time you need to get out of your comfort zone, you do something slightly different. What will happen is your brain goes, yeah, that wasn't so bad last time. I can cross that line. Okay, I'm all right. This isn't too bad. I might bounce back to my comfort zone, but this time it doesn't bounce back to the original place. It actually goes back to your new stretched out, expanded comfort zone. And why that's important is because as you expand your comfort zone, as you try new things, as you explore new ways of doing things, it gets bigger. So it stretches out, it bounces back, but each time to the previous stretch point. And that can continue to grow and grow. And why that's important is because if you're going through something new in your life, there are going to be things that you have to deal with that you feel uncomfortable or scared about. Maybe it's going outside with the whole coronavirus and lockdown thing that we're going through. Maybe it's going to a new type of appointment or experimenting with a different type of treatment. But all of those things can make you feel uncomfortable. Just knowing that the more you expand that, the more you access a better feeling of, yeah, okay, I can give this a go, I'll be okay. And comfort's just one of those many feelings that we like. That's on that list of, yeah, I'll stay here, this is a nice place to be. Why it's important for us to understand that our experience and our feelings are affecting what we do is because our experience and our feelings are coming from how we perceive what's going on outside of us. It's fairly simple, and actually it's perfectly normal for us all to feel the same, in that when you're a baby, maybe you get an upset tummy and you feel a bit uncomfortable, and somebody comes along with some milk and makes you feel full, and then you feel better. And you go, okay, I get it. You made me feel better. And then you maybe have a sore bum and you're a bit uncomfortable and your nappy's not right, and somebody comes along with some clean wipes and nappies and makes you feel comfortable. And you go, okay, got it. So you did that. That made me feel better. And it's perfectly reasonable then for us to grow up and go through our whole lives honestly believing that the feelings that we have on the inside come as a direct result of the things that happen on the outside. The problem is, if that's true, we're giving away all our power. Literally, every experience we have moment to moment isn't down to us, it's down to everything else and what else is going on outside of us. Well, the good news is, it isn't how it works. That's a popular misunderstanding. The reality is our experience comes from the inside out, not the outside in. We think that our mind works like a camera. That's happened, I've perceived it, I've taken it in, and now I'm experiencing the feelings that should go with that. Actually, the mind works a lot more like a projector, which is how I'm thinking is showing up in what I'm perceiving, and that's the feelings I'm getting from, and that's what's causing my experience. But let me sort of try and show you what I mean by that. As you perceive something, imagine you're just looking at something as simple as this little star, and you see it. And if you go back to school science, you might remember in school science that you look at something, the data or the light refraction or reflection from that item goes into your eyes, and your eyes do that thing that I remember at school going, really? Turns everything upside down. And in turning everything upside down, it then sends that data to your brain, and your brain decides, I'm looking at that star. And that's what you get. But the interesting thing about this is that if you're in a really dark mood, you're in a low place, as you perceive the data from that object or that thing, it actually distorts it slightly. It shows you kind of what you're thinking and how you're feeling rather than what's actually there. Because if you're in a great mood and you've had a really good start to the day, maybe you've just seen an amazing rainbow or something's lit you up, the thing that you perceive this time might look completely different. And actually you can even add a little bit to it and positively hallucinate, and all of a sudden it's all bright and sparkly. So it's not the thing that you're seeing, it's how you're perceiving it. Rather than try to explain it sort of this way, let me show you some examples that you may have already seen on the internet. This one, the blue-black dress, or is it white and gold? Now, you can ask your friends about this. You'll find that we'll all have long discussions and debates about whether it's blue and black or whether it's white and gold. It doesn't really matter. What's important to notice here is that it isn't what you're looking at that you're getting. It's how you're perceiving what you're looking at that you're getting. And perception is what's creating your interpretation of that, and what's then causing you to experience that feeling or not that feeling. Here's another one. This is a fairly recent one. So many of us see a grey shoe with a pale blue turquoisey coloured lace and trim. But I'm told by many other people that they say pink and white. Not even sure which bit's pink and which bit's white, but I haven't managed to see it that way yet. So it's not the thing that's causing our experience. It's not the thing that we're experiencing. It's how we're perceiving it that we're experiencing. Why that's important is the more we learn about how the mind works and how the body works, and right down to a genetic level, when we perceive something as a threat, it creates one set of feelings. When we perceive something as exciting, we get a new set of feelings. When we perceive something as terrifying, we get another set of feelings. Like the London Eye, it's not the thing that's causing the feelings, it's how we perceive it. So let's just think about what that means. It's really important to remember that the mind works from the inside out. It isn't the thing that's causing your feelings. It isn't your diagnosis that's causing your feelings. It isn't the events around you that's causing your feelings. It isn't the hospital or the surgery or anything else. It's how you're thinking about it. And by the way, this is very important. This is not about positive mental attitude. I am not suggesting that something bad can happen and you go, yeah, that's exciting, brilliant, I'm really pleased about that. That's not what this is about. It's about recognizing that all feelings are just feelings based on how you're thinking in that moment. And as soon as you start to think differently about something else, you'll suddenly feel differently. In the same way that you can be really angry about something, maybe somebody's cut you up and you're in a really lousy mood. And before you know it, something else has popped into your mind. Perhaps you remember something that happened, or you've seen something that's caught your attention, and all of a sudden you're in a different mood. It actually only takes 90 seconds to completely flush out the hormones and the chemicals in your body that give you one feeling and replace them with a new feeling. Now that's exciting because it means that instead of feeling lousy all day, you only actually have to feel lousy for 90 seconds if you really want to. The beautiful thing there is just to pay attention to what's upsetting you, track it back. How am I thinking about this that's causing this feeling? And then see if you can find some other ways of thinking about it. What else could it mean? How else could I see this differently? We get so affected by our feelings, it drives our behaviour. But our feelings are coming, I've hopefully established this, from our personal thinking in the moment. Now, what's important is our personal thinking in the moment is based on a lot of stuff that we've learnt. As we've grown up, we've taken on ideas and things that cause us to believe certain things about ourselves. Let me show you what I mean. Inside of you always is this perfect, amazing diamond of a human being. It's never gone away. It's always been there. When you were born, no babies need therapy. They're always happy. They're always curious and interested. They're always okay. And then as they grow up, they start to learn some stuff. And we start to learn that I'm not tall enough. I'm not pretty enough. I didn't win the competition, so I'm not clever enough. I didn't get picked for the football team, so I'm not sporty enough. And we start to create this big, thick layer of what I will politely call horse manure. And that layer of horse manure that we build up around our perfect, awesome self can actually make us think that that's who we really are. So because we're afraid that people will see that, we cover it over with a big, thick layer of shiny red paint or nail varnish, depending on how you think about it. That's then what we let people see. We don't want them to see the BS because we're frightened that that's who we think we are. So we put on this face, this mask that says, this is who I really am. The problem with that is that's all full of beliefs and opinions and thinking that just aren't real. Once you let that go, once you allow that mask to dissolve and the stories that you've made up and been telling yourself all these years to go away, you get back to that true, amazing diamond. And let's not just for a second forget how mind-bogglingly awesome humans are. It's too easy to forget this. You've only got to look at how the liver repairs itself, or how the immune system works, or how the heart functions, for us to realise how incredibly complicated and amazingly brilliant we are. And that's before we've even begun to consider what the brain's capable of. It's always there. That amazing diamond is always there. You never lose that. But sometimes you just can't see it. It's a bit like this morning I was driving and I looked out the windscreen. I could see this big, horrible, grey, dark cloud. But it wasn't long before I was a little bit further down the road and I noticed beautiful blue sky and sunshine. Now, I suddenly realised that the sky and the sunshine was always there. The sun never goes away. It's always there. But sometimes you just can't see it because the clouds are in the way. Well, it's the same with this. Your okayness is always there, no matter what is going on in your life. And if you can feel okay, regardless of what's going on in your life, you can have a much nicer day, much nicer moment, much nicer week, much nicer month. So just remembering that feeling of okay, underneath all the other stuff, will always be there. And obviously, we do try to remember as much as we possibly can that you have an inbuilt design for success, joy and happiness, no matter what is going on outside of you. That ability to be okay is always there. We also have this amazing creative ability to produce the illusion that we're not okay. And again, that is going to vary depending on your situation, but ultimately, no matter what's going on for you, you can still be okay while it's happening. So I'm hoping that we've covered a few things for you to think about. First of all, that your experience is coming moment to moment, not from what's going on around you, but from how you're perceiving what's going on about you, from how you're thinking about it. Some people can have something going on that's really, really stressful. They see it as stressful and they get stressed. Somebody else can look at exactly the same thing and see it as just something. It's not the thing that's causing the stress. And when we know that's true, and I mean really know it's true, the kind of knowing that, if I was to drop something, I know it would land on the floor. When you know it's true, that your experience moment to moment only is coming from your personal thinking, it gives you the freedom and the power to actually pay your attention to something else, think about something else, and change your experience in that moment. The aim of this conversation and this video today has been to give you some things to think about, because obviously what's going on outside of you at the moment is pretty scary, with the coronavirus and lockdown and all the things that are happening right now. You may be experiencing a lot of feelings of discomfort and fear. Those feelings are coming from how you're thinking about the situation. The situation is still the situation, whether you're upset about it or not. The London Eye is still the London Eye, whether I'm excited about it or scared about it. So as long as you are careful, you take all the appropriate precautions and do the right things, I'm hoping that you'll all stay very safe and have an opportunity to come out of the situation that you've been in. But just recognise it is only a feeling, and it doesn't need to stop you from doing anything. Whatever it is that you feel you want to do, it is only a feeling, and they pass the moment you put your attention onto something else. I hope this has been useful for you, and I would love it if you can. Please feel free to connect to me on LinkedIn. My name's Mo Burry. And if you've got any questions for me, you can get in touch with me through the Sutton Cancer Care Support Centre or through LinkedIn. And I wish you the very best. Stay healthy, stay safe, and all the best.